That's Chicago, You're the Inspiration. You're listening to Radio Harrow. It's 26 minutes to 10, Friday the 17th of March. I'm delighted to be joined now here on the show by Skip Archimedes, otherwise known as the Miracle Man. Very good morning, Skip.
Good morning to you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How about you?
Amazing. Yeah, how can you not be on this wonderful planet that we live on?
And a wonderful day on this wonderful planet this morning. It's certainly, I mean, you're at the moment in Norfolk, but if the weather's for you anything like it is for us, it's a bright and cheerful morning.
It's always a bright and cheerful morning if you understand this real game of life. That's what I can say. The weather's going to change, but our attitudes don't have to.
And this is why we want you on air, because you're called the Miracle Man. You've got the most incredible story, and you've got the most impressive and inspirational attitude, and I think that's probably the key part of your personality and why people are so drawn to you and come to your talks and are so inspired by you. But let's roll back a moment, because I've heard of you, but some people haven't yet heard of you. Why have you become known as the Miracle Man? What originally went wrong?
I mean, basically, the story goes that I was a child born with so many ailments, allergies. I was in a coma for 3 months with pneumonia, covered from head to toe in eczema, chronic asthma, on antibiotics all the time, and I kind of thought that was the way life was going to be. Then I got into gymnastics, and it actually helped a lot of those health problems that I was going through, helped a lot with the chest infections that I was experiencing, and I got tipped to be the youngest kid to go to the Olympics for gymnastics. 2 weeks after that, my mum leaves my dad for my gymnastics coach, and my dad stopped me doing gymnastics, the very thing that I loved. And because I didn't know how to deal with the emotional stuff, my emotions went up and down till I got to 18. I was overweight, and I made a big decision to basically go back and just do in life what I loved, and that was gymnastics. And it made no logical sense because I was overweight. Most people are kind of sort of giving up at that age, really, if they haven't made it. And had an accident in the gym and broke my back and got told that I was never going to walk again. And I spent 6 months in traction in a machine, just moving up and down to keep the circulation of blood going throughout the body. And I thought it was game over. You know, there were so many people around me who were saying, look, we've seen this injury before, and people don't heal from it. And I believed what I was told, but then after 4 months, and I hit the darkest moments ever, I couldn't even escape myself just to go out for a walk, or, when you're in a machine, you're kind of trapped with you, and you realise that the brain can be a very powerful thing, but it can be a very destructive thing at the same time, if we don't learn to control it. And I then learned about Bruce Lee, while I was in traction, and I found out that he actually broke his back. He was in traction, and he came back fitter and stronger than ever. So what that did was it opened me up to the possibility of, if he did it, maybe I could do it as well. And didn't really have any other choices at that point, so I put my heart and soul into it and started to study Bruce Lee and his philosophy, and it opened me up to study the people who he studied, people like Confucius, Krishnamurti, these amazing people that have walked this planet. And it really got me tuned in to the power of our mind, our body, and our spirit, and how all three should be working in harmony. But a lot of us are out of balance. A lot of us are not in the bodies anymore. We're just living up in the minds, and we're not open to those good vibes, that good spirit coming through us. And using what I learned didn't make any logical sense from all the things that I basically dumped inside my brain. But after 6 months, I took 3 steps. I got them to take me out of the machine, and I took 3 steps. Then day after that, I did 6. Day after that, I did 12. Day after that, I did none. But before I knew it, living this way where I was activating the body, the mind, and the spirit, and cleansing the body and the mind as well, I allowed the body to work its magic. I mean, think about it. If you cut your arm, you don't have to do anything to heal yourself. Your body knows how to naturally heal. But a lot of us are living these lifestyles that are draining the body of more energy than we're getting in. And I've learned ways how to really get ourselves activated in fun ways where we start to just function better in this game of life. And using what I learned, we sat down with the family one day, and Mum just said, wow, we've just watched a miracle happen. What are you going to do with your life now? And I know one of the key things is we have to do what we love in life, because even in work, we're going to be spending so much of our time working, so we have to either love it or find some love that we can put into it, because we're going to spend a lot of our time there. And I asked myself that question, what do I love? And the very thing that came up was gymnastics. And Mum was like, are you crazy? And I said, well, Mum, if I break my back now, I now know how to heal it. I said, that's what's cool about this stuff. I said, what I've plugged into is stuff that I never got from school, I never got from college. I never heard it on TV or radio, any of that stuff. And I know how to apply this now. Anyway, I went back to gymnastics and got the English Sports Acrobatics Championship title. So it kind of proved that within all of us, we have so much more greatness, so much more strength, so much more power than we're living with. And that's what I now have the fortune of doing, is traveling all around the world, sharing these secrets with people. And it's, it's pretty life-changing stuff.
The thing that strikes me probably most about this story of what's happened to you, the journey that you've gone on, is that actually there's forgive me, but there's nothing special about you. There is, you have drawn on something which we could all, draw on with the focus and attention and the right inspiration and guidance. You've actually done something which is open to so many people, but people don't realise or don't maybe put in that extra touch of positive effort to get it. Well,
it's when it comes to positivity, I'm not sort of just too into just sort of positive thinking, because positive thinking is going in the garden, being really positive, like being, as happy as you want, go like, there are no weeds, there are weeds. There are weeds.
There are,
If you don't get rid of the weeds, they're going to destroy your garden. Well, our thoughts are kind of the same. Like, what we've learned is about 90% of our thoughts, and this is most people around the world, whether you're rich or poor, tall or short, black or white, good or bad person, what we've learned is that over 90% of most people's thoughts are negative. So what we have to do is because it's like a simple thing like moving our body. Most adults now need to be motivated to move their bodies. But when we were children, we were living on instinct. We were moving our bodies a lot more. We wouldn't need to be motivated to go and play in the playground. We would just go and do it because it was fun. And what happens is when we move our bodies in fun ways, these endorphins get released from the brain, and it's a chemical that is there. So when we do move our bodies in fun ways, it gets released and we naturally feel good. But yet, because we've started to live up in our brains, it's very easy for our instinct to say, right, now we've got to go and move our body. We need to go and play. The body was created to move. Let's go and get some strength. Let's go and get some balance. Let's go and get some flexibility. And the instinct says do it, but then the brain overrides it. So what happens is the brain is more active than it should be to create the harmony between the body, the mind, and the spirit. And with the teachings that I share, I just plug people into those elements of what they are, and the spirit element of us, it's no more weird than us using Wi-Fi. Like, you and I, we're on the phone here, there's no cable connecting my phone to the ground or to you, or when we go on our computers, there's no cable connecting Wi-Fi from our phones or our computers to the World Wide Web. It's a non-physical thing, but most of us nowadays, we couldn't live without Wi-Fi, and we can't see it, we can't touch it, we can't taste it, and our spirit, it's almost a part of us that knows why we're here, knows what our path should be, knows what our purpose in this life is. And when we connect to that, we wake up every day with a purpose. We wake up every day on a mission. We wake up every day in a good vibed place where no matter what challenge we're going through, we can see the bigger picture and we can learn to turn that challenge into a blessing, so that by us going through the challenge, a part of us has grown and expanded in ways where we wouldn't have been able to do that unless we went through the challenge. So there's always, I really believe that life does have our back, because we're given free will and we can choose what meanings things mean to us. And, I'm just super excited that as a one-off, I am going to be coming down into Stanmore, actually, to give some of these teachings away, which I don't usually do this. We usually do these huge events all over the world, and I've been, got invited to Stanmore. I'm really jazzed that next Wednesday, between 7 and 9, I'm going to be bringing these teachings to Stanmore to give them to people, because as soon as you've got them for your entire life. And we're walking around this planet living in the most complex computer system on the face of the earth, and that's the human mind and body and spirit. But no one gives us a user manual, and what we found out is that most of us, we're not user-friendly. So we've got to learn how to condition ourselves in the right way, so we start to create the right habits, and when it's a habit, we start doing the right thing without even thinking about it. We're allowing our intuition to guide us. We're allowing our gut feeling to be active, and within a lot of us, that has become numb because our bodies have become numb, so we don't know what guidance to take. And as soon as I plug people in, into these areas of life where they can get their guidance, it really does change this game of life.
Just, I've got another question for you, but just as you mentioned the Stanmore College event, I'm just going to give some details of that. It's next Wednesday, 22nd of March, 7 till 9 p.m. It's going to be hosted at Stanmore College. It's sponsored by the Natural Health Options in Stanmore, which is a health shop, and it's £2 per ticket. And as Skip says, usually he's doing events for huge audiences. This is going to be quite an exclusive event for us in Harrow. So if you are free and you can get down there to Harrow, then certainly make your best effort, and I'll give you all the details in a little bit about how you can book your ticket, because I think you do have to book that ticket in advance. So stay tuned for more information on that. Finally, Skip, something that I was wondering when you were talking to me just before, and you latched on to, for you it was gymnastics, and that was your love that sort of got you back on track. When your mum said, well, what are you going to live your life for now? What is it? You had something, and you drove down into gymnastics, and you achieved in gymnastics, and you had that success, and success, it brings confidence and can drive further success and bring more energy to your life. Some people, I suppose, aren't so sure about what it is they want from life. Are there things that they'll be able to get from your talk about sort of even looking into themselves and deciding what is it that drives me and gets me up in the morning?
Absolutely. This is the big question of this planet. Why are we here? And when we're in those dark places where we're not really in that flow state, and we are creating this resistance with our thoughts and our emotions and the habits that we're living with, when we're in those dark places, it's a lot harder for us to get clear on what we're supposed to be doing, because so many of these negative feelings and thoughts are coming up. So when I go through processes with the people where I do the talks, and I help plug them into, now this is going to sound a little bit weird, but it's just as weird as when we're on the radio, we have all these different frequencies, these different channels that we turn the dial and we go through 97.9 FM all the way to 104 FM.
Yeah.
And as we turn the dial and we tune into different frequencies, we can be on hip-hop FM, we can be on classic FM, we can be on pop FM. Well, there's all these different frequencies in life that as human beings we can plug into them. And when we work on ourselves and we learn how to plug ourselves into these better feeling states, then what we do is we attract different things into our existence, because there is something on this planet called law of attraction, and it's just a law like gravity. And whatever feeling we're holding within our being, then we're attracting it. So if we're holding a negative feeling, we're going to attract that negative feeling to that negativity too. So when we get ourselves into these better places where we feel better, then what we do is we open ourselves up to what our purpose is. Now, for the ones that are struggling with their purpose, the easiest takeaway I can give them now is health is our greatest wealth. Now, most of us are living in denial when it comes to our health. We think that we're healthy, but we're not really making proper conscious choices around what is making our body healthy, because there's a lot of products out there in the marketplace that are being sold as health products, but we buy them thinking that they're going to be healthy for us. Then we take them and we find out that they're actually doing more harm to us than good. So it's not just about what we put into our body, it's about how we move our body, how we connect with other people, how we respond to life, how we connect to life, how much stress we're able to deal with. And when we've got that health as the foundation, and we got health, energy, and vitality pulsing through our body, and we make that a purpose, because if we're breaking down, and the latest stats out there are, and this is crazy, they're saying 2 out of every 3 people are either going to get a heart disease, a cancer, or a diabetes, that's just absurd now. So what does it mean? It means that a lot of us are living these toxic lifestyles that are just doing us more harm than good.
Yeah.
And by making sure that health is your foundation, and those that come to the talk, I'm going to be giving them, I mean, that evening is going to be jam-packed. It's not going to be just like a normal 2-hour evening with some presenter just doing a talk for the audience. There's going to be things where I'm going to be doing with the audience to get them activated so that as they plug into these higher states of consciousness, what we realize is by plugging into these frequencies, when you're there, you start to make more empowered choices. You start to make stronger decisions. You start to realize, oh, I want to do this because it's going to feel good in my life. Because ultimately, that's why we do anything, is to help us feel better. Because the better we feel in life, the more in flow we get, the more creative we get, and that creativity can go into making our own mind and body healthy and energized, making our business healthy and energized, making our family healthy and energized, making our relationships healthy and energized, making sure that we're giving back more than what we're taking. And suddenly you get into these places and you just start to do it because it feels good. But getting people to that place, that's where we have to, we have to sort of bridge the gap. Because a lot of the ways that people live nowadays is exactly how I used to live. And I realize that from those places, we kind of, we feel like we're hitting our heads up against a brick wall sometimes. Whereas when we realize that there are much bigger things at play here, and only when we can go to those places where we can almost like become the observer and be like a child again. And what I mean by that is really being in the moment. Like children are so in the present moment, whereas adults, we tend to live up in the mind. We're worrying about the past. We're dragging heavy things with us through life. We then project and worry about the future, and it completely takes us out of the present moment. So we're missing the gifts that life is trying to give us in those moments. So we almost have to forget some of the things we've learned to remember how powerful we can be as human beings and how amazing this game of life can be when we get in those flow states.
For me, it's a little bit like thinking of a diving board, and if you take a low diving board 1 meter above the water, there's very little you can do. You can jump into the water, but once you start elevating yourself higher and higher, there's more that you can give to that dive, and there's more flourish, there's more creativity, there's more art and craft to the dive, and more achievement that you can get. The higher you elevate yourself, the more chance you give yourself in life. And this talk from Skip is going to be absolutely inspiring on Wednesday. So thank you so much, Skip, for joining us here on Radio Harrow. We're looking forward to seeing you at Stanmore College next Wednesday, 7 till 9 p.m. It's going to be £2 for a ticket. It's sponsored by the National Health Options store in Stanmore, and as you've just heard, absolutely incredible story. But more importantly than that, it's what you can gain from the session. It's not going to be one of those quite regular sit and talk, have a lecturer talk at you. It's not going to be like that, as Skip has already said. It's going to be something where you actually get the skills to take it home with you into your own life, and that's something which I'm sure all of us could benefit something from. Thank you very much indeed to Skip Archimedes, and if you want to find out more about Skip himself, his website is skiparchimedes.com. You're listening to Radio Harrow. Up next, it's the Beatles.
Can't buy me love. Love.